When we dug into their Amazon SEO strategy, it was clear what their problem was. They were using the same tactics that had worked for them years ago on Amazon, but the landscape had changed. Are you ready to unlock the strategies that will scale your Amazon store to six figures and beyond? Whether you're looking to grow sustainably or scale with confidence, we've got the insights and tools you need to succeed. Welcome back to another episode of the Amazon Six Figure Seller Podcast. Today, we're going to dive into something that can make or break your success on Amazon, and that is your SEO strategy. And trust me, this isn't just another talk about keywords. We're going to dive deep into why your current approach might be outdated and what you can do to fix it. Now, before we jump in, let me share a quick story, one that might sound all too familiar if you're selling on Amazon. A particular brand that we were working with had been doing well on Amazon for years. They had strong reviews, a great product line, and they were willing to invest in their business. But even with all these positives, their growth had actually started to stall. When we dug into their Amazon SEO strategy, it was clear what their problem was. They were using the same tactics that had worked for them years ago on Amazon, but the landscape had changed. Their keyword strategy was outdated. Their content wasn't optimized for the latest algorithm changes, and they really weren't taking advantage also of new features that Amazon had rolled out. For this particular brand, for their primarily most relevant keyword that was getting over 4,000 searches every month on Amazon, we were able to get them to the top three position. And it would usually fluctuate between one of those top three. And that's for organic or, just regular searches. It's not a paid ad. And they also had the Amazon's Choice badge. So this helped them to get in front of more shoppers since a huge part of success for small businesses on Amazon and a great way that they can compete on this platform with even against very large mega brands. And to be quite honest, there are times I've seen listings from mega brands that just aren't doing Amazon as well as they could. So that means more opportunities for businesses like yours. And this brand isn't alone. There's a lot of brands, they were in the natural personal care space, but there are a lot of brands that are in a similar situation. They know their product is solid, but they're really kind of stuck using outdated strategies that are really no longer effective. And what makes it even harder is that just recently in Q3 2024, Amazon has announced a change to how they want bullet points formatted, and that Amazon will be leveraging AI to rewrite bullets that in some way don't comply with their new policies. So, what that means for brands and something that you should be aware of is if you're like, particularly if you're maybe putting a word in there that is seen as a claim by Amazon, the use of certain keywords that Amazon may start flagging as they've done over the last few years, where they use bots to essentially scan the listings for words and then they flag or even restricts the products from being sold on Amazon unless you make changes to the content. Now, if you're listening and that sounds like you, don't worry, there's hope. I'll walk you through it. So, how do you know if your Amazon SEO strategy is outdated? Here's a few telltale signs. The first is keyword stagnation. If you are still relying on the same keywords that you've been using for years, that could be an indicator. You haven't touched your listing in a while that you might be dealing with something where Amazon's algorithm, because it's changing frequently, but also how people are searching, those search behaviors of consumers is also always changing. So it's essential to revisit your keyword strategy regularly and ensure that you're targeting relevant, high converting terms. Also, in the last episode, episode 17, if you want to listen to that one next, I did talk about e-commerce trends, and it's good to be aware of what is trending as it relates to words that shoppers may start using more than before when they're on Amazon. So for instance, we saw the search term castor oil really skyrocket in searches as through like TikTok and other social media channels. That became kind of the latest and greatest thing to use for your skin and other purposes. And so that was reflected with Amazon search volume. So if you hadn't touched your listing and you have, castor oil as an ingredient, that was something that you could have been missing out on. And that would have been a big keyword. And if you didn't take advantage of it quickly, then that could have actually been more challenging to show up in searches for it. The next is unoptimized content. This is your product titles, descriptions, bullet points. That might have been perfect 2 years ago, but if you haven't updated them, you could be missing out. So you want to focus on integrating new keywords to ensure that your content is optimized both for searching, but also for converting. Now, like I said, the latest change that Amazon has made was with the bullet points. So you may find that Amazon updates your bullets and you may no longer be able to use certain words that you once relied on. And that's another reason it's important that you're taking an approach where you're targeting more keywords than just a few, but at least 10 to 20 keywords that you're primarily wanting to rank or show up for on Amazon. Third is neglecting new features. Amazon is continuously introducing new features, one of them being A plus premium A plus content. There's Amazon Posts, that's kind of older, but that's still something that people sometimes don't even use. If you're not taking advantage of those, you're probably leaving potential sales growth on the table. Now, I've talked about posts for years. That's one I'm saying it's a new feature, but it really isn't. However, there is a newer feature within posts where you can actually boost your posts through then creating ads on Amazon using a post that does well, that gets engagement when you're looking at the data. So you can then get in front of more shoppers. And remember, those are usually Instagrammable type images. Think of that way, like a product lifestyle type of photo. And as of this year, even videos now you can use for posts to get your brand in front of more shoppers. And early adopters of those new features, they're usually going to be the ones that are going to see the best impact on their sales because it's not as common. But the more brands start using features, you will start to see as not as big of an impact as when you first started using it early on. That's a huge reason to always stay up to date with what's happening because you can really see more success by adopting those features earlier on. Another problem is when you are ignoring competitor analysis. So Amazon's marketplace is more competitive than ever. Regularly analyzing what your competitors are doing, especially those that are showing up or ranking above you, can give you really helpful insights. So, have you seen for that keyword, for instance, that you would like to show up for? You probably have one in your mind right now. What is the brand that's showing up first? What are they doing better? Where could you improve? Now, of course, there's also going to be an element that you're not going to see, but that's going to be your off Amazon marketing that is probably also being done by those competitors. And that could be an episode in and of itself. But you can look at their social channels for those competitors that are showing up faster or sooner for searches than you. What to see what are they running ads on? Because on social, like Facebook, for instance, you can see if a company is running ads, and then what do those ads even look like that they are running? Now, the biggest struggle, if you are a small business, will be that you do have to determine what strategy you could add that could give your brand the biggest return on investment, since typically you won't have a larger budget or you won't have venture capital to spend as much as you would have. So you'll have to basically take a more methodical approach and really make sure to base always that on your audience to see what works best for your brand and your audience. So here's what you can do now to get back on track. The first thing you can do is conduct a keyword audit. So there's a lot of tools out there. You can use something like Helium 10. I'll have a link in the show notes. Jungle Scout has a tool to look at new keywords that are trending in your category. And this is how you can update your listings with those fresh, high traffic keywords. Keep in mind, though, other brands are using these tools. So it's not going to be as simple as adding certain keywords and your listing showing up at the top spot. The next thing you can do, though, is also refreshing your product listing. So make sure your titles for your products, the descriptions, the bullet points, are they current? Include your new keyword findings within that content. Also, make sure to use compelling, really benefit driven language that's going to speak directly to your target audience. Now, you want to leverage new features is something else that you can be doing. If you haven't already, make sure to start using Amazon's latest features. So think about, premium A plus content is a great way to enhance your product descriptions with images, additional text. It's going to, even now video for premium to make your pages more attractive and informative. And not only that, they do look better, but we see the data time and time again that they convert better too, which means more sales for you. It helps the consumer because they can know better what they're getting instead of, unsure of what they're getting and having to return. So this can alleviate a lot of different issues. Now, we've been leveraging premium A plus content for our clients as soon as it became available, the end of 2023, as soon as they were eligible. If they weren't, we made sure that they got eligible. And then we can see the positive impact it's had on their listings. Their year over year sales are better than they were a year ago, but also we're looking at the data for those listings, and those listings are now individually converting better as well than not having any premium A plus content. Another thing you can be doing is competitor research. So regularly check out your competitors, see what's working for them, and adopt or adapt those strategies to fit your brand and how you want to scale and grow. Like I said, you're most likely going to have to take a more focused approach. Try not to spread out too thin on what you do, but taking that more focused approach and testing to see what gives you the biggest impact. Now, if you're finding that your sales on Amazon have plateaued, that could be an indicator that it's time for a change. Hopefully, they haven't been declining, but that could be something that's happening to you as well. And that would be another indicator that these are things that you want to do. So you don't want an outdated SEO strategy to hold you back. You can start implementing those steps that I mentioned today, and then you can watch your Amazon sales come back to life, start increasing, converting better. And so that I think will really help you and your brand. Thanks for tuning in to the Six Figure Amazon Seller podcast. And we do have a free Six Figure Amazon Seller Facebook group that you can join. The link is going to be in the show notes. And also, you can become an insider with weekly emails from me focused on information and challenges that are unique for brands that are looking to sustainably grow their Amazon store. So, there's going to be a link to become an insider in the show notes as well. I'm Becky, and this has been the Amazon Six Figure Seller podcast. Thanks for listening. Just like your customer reviews on Amazon help you grow, your review on Apple Podcasts helps us reach more brands like you. If you enjoyed today's episode, would you please take a moment to leave us a review? We'd really appreciate it. Thanks so much.